So let's speak about spiritual contracts. Spiritual contracts. What is a spiritual contract? So every day we revise these spiritual contracts and we sort of like consult the spiritual contract to activate our daily scripts. Okay, does that sound fair? So we consult our spiritual contracts to activate the daily script about the role that you're going to play for the day. So if we can renegotiate our spiritual contracts, then we can jump into different roles. Then we can see ourselves in different scripts and we can be the recipients of our main character energy and truly have or live in a movie. Hey! So what is your spiritual contract? Based off of where you've come from, what has that done to you? Based off of where you've come from, how do you feel about those things? And the conversations that result from those ruminations, the conversations that result from those questions, what are your positions and perspectives around them? So for instance, now I'm a very successful businessman and spiritual consultant, but previously I was a little bit of an orphan. I was a little bit of like an abandoned young kid. In my spiritual contract, those are sort of like the beginnings. And then the intangibles or the spiritual happenings as a result of those beginnings make the rest of the contract. So, what happened to me? Abandonment. Some sense of a lack of support or a lack of vision or a lack of investment. How can someone feel about that? That can make someone feel unworthy. That can make someone question their mission, question their purpose. That can make someone seek for support, seek for family, and search for affirmation. As a result of those happenings, this person, or me, hypothetically, can have shame, embarrassment, or a self-worth issue. Can we see a total spiritual contract forming based off of initial childhood wounds? So let's look at the spiritual contract within this hypothetical vision of myself. When I wake up in the morning and I'm looking at my spiritual contract, right? And I'm like, damn, it sucks to be me today. Look at that energy of that initial catalyst, the spiritual results, and then the emotional catalyst, okay? That is the spiritual contract, the physical catalyst, the spiritual results, and then the emotional catalyst of that conversation. Those are the makings of the spiritual contract. We take that with us every day to then start a script, okay? So we wake up in the morning and then my script starts. So boom, I'm angry, or I'm disgruntled, or I'm fearful and scared, unsure and insecure. Those immediate spiritual and emotional conversations have an impact in my mind and on my mind-heart bridge, which does impact my energy or my mood. This is your spiritual contract. So before I've even gotten out of my bed, my energy sources, my resources, my wealth, I'm either cheapened or empowered through my spiritual contract. All based on how I feel about my story and my beginnings. So how can we revise our spiritual contract? How can we infuse wealth into those addendums? Let's look at the emotional reflections of the physical and then the spiritual. How can I change my emotional perspectives in order for me to live in that contractual conversation healthily? Well, our emotions are anchors. I'm rooted in this energy, but they are also keys. Feeling this energy fully will unleash me from the conversation. Feeling this emotion, which is my energy in motion, fully will help to close the conversation. Because emotions are communicators. So, for instance, and I always say this, anger is the communication that something has been overlooked. And sadness is a communication for support. I always say this as well, but the water leaving the body is a big emergency for the human cell, the human vessel, as water is an essential. So crying is a sign or call out for support. Emotions are communicators, and they are our energy in motion. So how can I revise that contract? By allowing my emotions to play out. I allow the anger to tell me what has been overlooked in my life or about me. And then I look at that thing. I see it. I claim it or reclaim it. I put a value on it and I value it. Now my emotion has gone from defending this thing or defending the fact that no one sees it to being with it. The anger dispels itself when the communication has been relayed. There's nothing for me to be angry about if I see it now, or if I see the story, or if I hear me, if I support me in my knowings and seeings. So loosely, this is how we revise our spiritual contract. We shift our emotional perspectives on the things that have been done to us, not from a gaslighted, get over it, but from an understanding, from a process of forgiveness that is an understanding, a process that speaks about what it is and what it isn't, what it was and what it will be, who you are and who you have become. And having this conversation helps us understand that you are living through your destiny, that you have been empowered with new information and new iterations of who you are. We wake up with a little bit more energy, a little bit more inspiration to do for us and to make things happen. And that is how we revise our spiritual contracts, to be the heroes of our stories and not the victims of abuse. It's okay for us to be victims, and actually it's needed in order for us to translate or to transition to victors. Oh! Let me know how this is resonating with you. I do hope that it's making sense, and I hope that you are revising and renegotiating your spiritual contract to take yourself from a victor to victorship, to be the hero and the savior of your life. Sending you so much love, support, and camaraderie. Cheers.